Welcome to the latest Porsche 911 Turbo S, and a question. What exactly is the point of it? See, it's called the Turbo S, but almost every 911 now has a turbo, and even some Porsches that don't, such as the Taycan, are allowed the fabled turbo name regardless. And talking of Porsche's brand spanking EV, it's got more power, more seats, and with its supposed guilt-free CO2 status, more relevance than the 911. Is this the start of a gentle transition of power away from the old king of the road?
Well, it would be very un-Porsche to simply let its most famous model slide into oblivion with a whimper. Therefore, this 992 Turbo S has undergone a selection of no doubt meticulously chosen upgrades.
For the first time ever in a 911 Turbo S, the front and rear tyre diameters are different sizes. Track widths are up 42 and 10mm front to back, plus Porsche's adaptive aerodynamics introduce adjustable cooling flaps, a pneumatic front spoiler, and a rear wing that doubles up as an air brake. None of that sounds too dramatic on paper. It's what you might expect from a car that's mastered the art of thoughtful evolution. But hold on, because in reality, this 911 Turbo S is a little bit different.
It's almost as if this car has looked over at its turboed siblings and gone, "You're getting a little bit too big for your boots. I'm the number one 911 around here. I get the biggest engine."
The Turbo S gets a bored-out 3.7-litre twin-turbo version of the Carrera's MA2 Flat 6, developing 641 brake horsepower. Upgrades include a reworked air intake system with 4 separate intakes, larger VTG turbos and piezo injectors that replace conventional solenoids for sharper responses.
If we thought the Turbo S had some guts before, then this just brings it to a whole new level of insanity. There's an extra 70 brake horsepower over the previous model, and while top speed is still the same at 205 miles an hour, 0 to 62 is down to just 2.7 seconds. The Taycan Turbo S might be getting the acceleration headlines, but trust me, this thing is quicker.
Such savage upshifts are helped by a redeveloped 8-speed PDK box that bangs through the upshifts so rapidly you'd swear that the ratios had been cut in half. Try and do the 0 to 62 mile an hour run manually and you'll almost certainly hit the limiter on your first attempt. It's also in the manual mode that you'll notice the power and responses only really come in at just under 3,000 RPM. There's a tangible delay beneath that as the twin G-force generation units ready themselves for an assault on your internal organs.
It almost feels like the power arrives all in one big lump, but it's more linear than that in reality. It's just the way that it absolutely screams through the gears that really gets you. And with this sports exhaust, sounds alright too.
It certainly feels as though the Turbo S has taken a small but notable step towards the drama of its racier GT siblings. But what does that mean for its billing as the ultimate everyday supercar? Well, the good news is that there's still 4 usable seats, a quality infotainment system, brilliant visibility, and combined luggage space equal to that of an everyday Super Mini.
However, it may have been a couple of years since I last drove a 911 Turbo S, but I don't remember the low-speed ride being quite as firm as this. Now, of course, this car has got the lowered sports suspension, but even then, I reckon there's mid-engine supercars from Ferrari and McLaren that have got a better and more compliant low-speed ride than this. And that doesn't quite feel right. But you know, I might just be feeling charitable, but I don't think that's the end of the world, because this is still a two-door, 641 brake horsepower supercar that is otherwise very civilized when you want it to be. But more importantly than that, the payoff for that extra firm ride is, well, astonishing. This thing just devours corners. It's a full-blooded onslaught of grip, G-forces and traction levels that just laugh in the face of mere physics. Every time I go through a corner, I look back in the rearview mirror and half expect to see big chunks of mangled, torn-up tarmac, because that's what 590 pounds-foot of torque feels like.
Rear-wheel steering, ceramic brakes and active torque vectoring are just three of the tricks that the Turbo S can deploy from its array of go-faster kit. Yet it's the wider track and precisely judged electromechanical steering that really make the difference.
There's a surprising amount of feel through this lovely Racetex covered wheel, and the steering ratio itself is precise but never nervous. And the greater track width all round means that the car just feels more balanced under power. There's more grunt than ever before, but equally, the 992 feels better equipped to deal with it and let the driver still have some fun. Most cars, you go into a corner and you have to wait a bit before it settles and you can get back on the power. But in this, it feels like you don't have to. It just dares you to get back on the loud pedal earlier and earlier. It's like every corner you go into has an invisible banking. If you ever thought the 911 was too clinical, too much of a poser's car, then you need to have a go in this. You really, really do. Oh, I think I need to take a moment. This is such a machine. Jeez. Wow. What a thing. What a thing.
It's funny, at the start of this video I spoke about how other turboed 911s and electric Taycans pose a threat to the relevance of this latest Turbo S. But after spending hours behind the wheel of 911 Hull, not only would I wager that this is in fact the finest turbo ever, it's also a reminder of why the name is so revered.
For me, this is still the benchmark 911. GT2s and GT3s may be quicker around a track, but here is a car that can do everything. And while the 911 and indeed wider Porsche range grows ever larger and more diverse, the Turbo S remains the fulcrum on which it turns. In short, this thing is more relevant than ever.